Petra. I work for Community Toronto and Glen's APSW, one of the APSWs for Bridges to Housing. It's on, right? Okay. So I don't know, Glen, how a couple of years ago, or when you guys first started, I know we did a presentation, Tricia and I from our interagency Compass Planning Group, did a presentation to Bridges to Housing on planning, and there was some interest. I know Kristen was really keen, kind of thing, so it's nice that she's finally able to be part of the team, sort of thing. And I guess then you guys started planning on your own without me, right, kind of thing, and then I guess we had a meeting about Community Toronto having some capacity for person-directed planning, and we talked about planning with the Bridges to Housing folks, and I guess we've been doing that this year, right? Unfortunately, I was not privileged to be there at Roger's plan, but the rest of the team was. So I'm excited to hear how that went, kind of thing. And just sort of a summary of the day, kind of thing. I know we heard this morning about the hierarchy of needs, and that's definitely a part of planning, as Glen spoke to earlier on about people being ready to plan, that they have to have some of their other needs met, as housing being a huge one before they can start thinking about what's next and what their dreams are, etc. Everything has to be their choice, we heard. Bonnie mentioned people living their own lives, and that's all the things that planning are about. And Deanna did that nice little exercise with us, and so she basically did my presentation, and I think that's a great new pre-planning tool that we can use. So we'll have to talk to her later about that kind of thing. So does anyone in the room not know what person-directed planning is? Someone's pretty familiar, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. But basically, it's all about the person. Using Roger as an example, hopefully for his plan, he could choose who is going to be there with him, because these folks are sort of the Bridges to Housing team. All the plans I've been at, they've all been part of it, so we've worked as a team. And for me at Community Living Toronto, sort of got used to working with Glen, APSW, that's really pro-planning, which I really appreciate. But knowing some of the other people from another sector is really nice, and we talked about collaboration earlier, so I think this is a really good example of both of us, or all of us, learning about one another's worlds and how we can support one another. So the person's in the center. So we talked about stories as well, life stories, I think someone referred to earlier on, and that was one of the interesting things with the Bridges to Housing plans that I've been involved with. I know sometimes when I do plans with other people that have had sort of horrendous stories, sometimes they don't want to talk about it or they don't want it written down, but my experience, the folks we planned with have been very respectful, and they've once you get them going, they really like to tell their stories, and you learn so much. And for me as a planner, it's lovely to be, like Kristen as a health promoter, being able to ask questions and to get answers back, so you know where people are at. Do they want to? How do they feel about their addiction? Is that something they want to deal with or not, kind of thing? And Kristen can enthusiastically talk about all the ways that she can help out and all the great programs that Intercity runs, etc. So I better not to get into your presentation. So we do stories, we talk about the person's strengths, their gifts, their good qualities. So that's lovely for people to be recognized for the wonderful people that they really are, that they maybe haven't had a chance to show for years, being on the streets, etc. The dreaming piece is always fun, to see what people want in their lives. And I think that was mentioned earlier on as well today. In Deanna's piece, you all did a little bit of dreaming. So it's nice that Glen finally gets the people to the point where they can dream, and he gets excited about how to make that happen for people, kind of thing. We look at what supports are in place so that everybody understands where everybody's at, and making sure they're not missing anything, etc. We look at barriers, things that could make it more difficult. We talked about some of them today, so that those can be addressed when we come up with the action plan items as well. Try to work towards those. And then we sign on and reflect, sort of thing. So really, as I say, I think during our presentation, if any of you have questions along the way, feel free, but I get a sense that you're a pretty savvy crowd and you know about planning. So if anyone have any questions about planning, or it's pretty clear? Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody knows. Some of you might know this stuff already. I just part of Compass team, and that's part of our job. We have to promote planning everywhere we go. Some sort of a T-shirt or something. Eh? So I put some stuff out front. So see, some of you have already got it. So there's a frequently asked questions sheet that it sort of explains what planning is. This is a card for those under 18. We talked about young people in children's aid and the importance of transitioning, etc. So planning, at transition points is really key. So if someone's under 18, they can call any of these three agencies, Family Service Toronto, Community Living Toronto, and Corbrook does planning for 14 to 18. They can just call us directly and you can get a plan right away. So that's kind of a no-brainer. So feel free to share those with people that you know. If you are 18, if someone's 18 or over, it's a service they can request through Developmental Service Ontario. So you have to make sure that people go through that process. And I stuck some of those cards out there. I'm sure you all probably know the number off by heart, but in case you don't, or you have some, you want to give it to someone, there's some DSO cards out there. And for planning, there's three different types. So there's without implementation, which is where we come out and we facilitate the plan. We help the group develop an action plan, and then we leave it up to the group to implement the action plan items. With implementation, we help develop the plan, and then we can continue to work with the family for a year, about 38 hours of support. So when people go, they can choose with, without, or with or without. And then also, there's also fee-for-service planning as well. And I mentioned the Compass Group, as well as Family Service, Corbrook, and Community Toronto. There's also the Geneva Centre, JDS, Montage, and Springboard. So we're all planners in the city, and we all provide fee-for-service planning. People can use their passport funding for this if they want, $2,500. So again, that would be like a plan with implementation. So that's available as well. But as I say, we're talking about the developmental service sector, so someone has to have an intellectual disability. So, and then this was just a nice quote I found, that because I'm learning as I go, especially with the individuals supported by Bridges to Housing, this reinforces the fact that plans really are about the person and what they want, and gives us a good understanding, but we really have to respect that and work around their wishes, etc. So I'm going to pass it on to Kristen, the health promoter.
Is this wonderful? I don't have to stand. My name's Kristen. I'm with the Inner City Family Health Team, health promoter, also recreation therapist, also working with Bridges to Housing. And I've sort of come in I've been a part of it all along. But now we're sort of at the stage of where we're completing the life plans. I think we have about four or five more to go of the 25 that we've accepted into the Bridges to Housing team or program. And now we're at the point of sort of where we can actualize or do the implementation of these life plans. And that's where we're kind of stepping in. And we were talking about this earlier, and somebody had mentioned about, okay, so that's all well and great, but who's gonna help them with all this stuff? And it really is, they're having more case managers, workers, people that can get out and help these people implement their plans is kind of where we're at. Statistically, with or without developmental disability, recidivism back to the shelter system, because I've with the Inner City Family Health Team, when it was Seton House Family Health Team back when it started 10 years ago. And I've seen people be housed and back in the shelter system within like 3 weeks and then housed. Like there's such a revolving door. And a big part of that, I believe, is and people have been talking about it earlier, is that the boredom, the isolation, the loneliness. They get housed, which is really, a lot of this can't happen until the housing takes place first. Getting that housing does help them feel safe and secure, but without things planned throughout their day, without purposeful, meaningful, important activities to them, the likelihood of them going back to the shelter system is quite high. So that's where we're really emphasizing our efforts right now, is trying to really ensure that these life plans are about them. one of the things that I've discovered in working with Roger and many of the other guys that we've helped is that, and you can see it pretty obviously, that us asking them, what are your dreams, is kind of, I think for many, the first time they've even been asked that question, because up until now, they've been just surviving. Joe, our ED, was talking about it earlier. When you're homeless and you've got all these other things going on, just surviving, knowing when you're going to get, where you're going to get your next meal, concerned about whether you're going to get beat up at Seton House. All of these things are going through your brain on a regular, and to have this housing, to be in a place now where they can actually start to think about themselves is like it's like a foreign concept. Like they've never, me? What do I want, kind of thing. And so I find that that now that we're starting this implementation stage of it, it even takes that much longer to get somebody to even start thinking about what actually will give them purpose, or what actually is going to help them feel important or get out of the day every morning. And surprisingly enough for many of our guys, it's like learning to read, not to fly and go to Jamaica or go travel Africa, or it's just learning how to read basic things, to think about those bigger things. So it's for me, I've been humbled to be part of this project, because it's a reminder that we all have self-worth, we all have purpose. It's for the guys that we're specifically working for right now, it's helping them find what that purpose is. It's within them, and this is where if we can all kind of come together, because this staffing shortage is a reality. These people are out there needing to be connected to all of these services, but without the help can't get there. So if we can, when we're coming across these folks, just take a step back and remember a purpose. If we can help them just nail down or reach inside and find out what's important to them, this other stuff, this connecting to the community it'll happen. It's just taking the time to do that. So I have the fun stuff. I can help connect them to the fun things.
Okay, my name is Kristen Lyons, and I'm a member of the collaborative team, Bridges to Housing. We truly work together as one, and our aim is to help our 25 clients whom we work with to find meaning to the lives that they live. And so one of the things that, so I actually am a housing counselor, and I don't only do housing counseling, which actually, housing counselor meaning I'm also a case manager, jack of all trades. I will jump in whenever and if ever the need arises. There's no distinction between the work that Glen and I do, or we just know how to do it collaboratively and for the common good, which is the client. And so Petra has asked me to shed light a bit on what it is like planning with people who are just leaving homelessness and who have been homeless for years. And so what really caught my mind was the definition here that the DSTO coined for as person-directed planning. And I'm sure you've heard of it this morning. I guess there was a presentation this morning which spoke about it, but I'm just going to read it briefly here because there's something at the end here that really piqued my interest. What is person-directed planning? Person-directed planning assists persons with developmental disabilities to create a meaningful life in their community by identifying their life goals and finding community connections, services, and/or supports. Listen to this, with the help of their families and/or significant others of their choice. Now, here's the gap. The folks that we work with, and for all of the guys that we've done person-directed planning with, not one family member was present.
Yeah.
And the reality is that
Not for lack of being invited, or we.
Yeah, that's just the reality. They are not connected to their family members, and for some for whatever reason, they do not want to be connected at the time. We have the last one we did, this individual is has a pretty good relationship with his mother and his sister. However, there was a lot of shaming that was directed towards him while he was growing up, and he felt, you know what, now that I'm on, and he's always lived with his mother, and so now that I'm on my own, I want to do my own thing. And I think, you know, for this, at this stage in my life, I'd rather, you know, I'd rather be the one directing. And so he was okay with not involving his sister, although he speaks to her quite often on the telephone. He felt more comfortable having myself, Kristen, Glen there with him. And so this is the way that it has been for all of the clients, from my experience.
Yeah.
So this is my little bit of insight that I'd like you to probably take away with them today. Thank you.
Yeah. And so once again, I'm Glen. I'm a work for Community Living Toronto, adult practice service worker, attached to the Bridges to Housing program with my colleagues here, Kristen and Christine, and Sabrato, who wasn't able to join us today, but he's here in spirit. So we're kind of the front line guys, so you heard all the stats and all the high level stuff from Radic, Joe, and Sylvan. I don't remember all those numbers. and with me, quite frankly, if you think you're gonna get all the answers from me, you can forgive yourselves. You're wrong. But once again, as I said, what I do get are questions and direction and motivation to keep moving forward. With so many of the people we work with, as was just said, they don't have family members. They're alone, struggling in the world. So what I get from that is just a lot of respect for the people who we are working with, who we are supporting, to do as well as they're doing, and have made the strides and continue to move forward in their lives towards their dreams. And once again, getting to a point where they can explore those dreams again. You know, they've had a tough go. Not just their time in the shelter, but just the trauma histories that they bring with them, and I just have so much respect for them. So that's where I come from on that. We talked earlier, you know, about some of the gaps, some of the problems and deficits within the system now. You know, I don't want to dwell too much on that anymore. You know, except to say, you know, let's keep working towards that. Try to fix the system. You know, if there's a problem, there is a solution. You know, what this gives me though is the fact that when we looked at those numbers earlier in the presentation just before us, we see what, you know, all the how do you phrase that? Problems, deficits, less stuff that, you know, might in our mind be a person has a less than status, and even our daily work, we are so consumed with the daily struggle and the immediate needs of the crisis that arise. You know, it's great to do these plans, and it refocuses, for me, you know, now I'm talking about me, that I'm dealing with full people, right? I'm dealing with a person, and I'm not to forget that. I'm not just dealing with a set of problems out there, all right? This is a full person, and they might have some challenges in any areas in their life that they require assistance with. But so do I. None of us make it on our own. You know, I have a network of support in my life. We talked about the fact these guys are coming to the plans with just themselves and paid staff who are around them. You know, maybe we'll do this plan in a year or two with the same people, and they'll have people around that table with them. You know, that's, for me, that would be a goal. Oh, my train of thought, Roger. I lost my train of thought.
You lost there, buddy?
I am lost here. Yeah, but again, that just ability for a person to dream, to say it's okay and that dreams have no limits, you know? I have dreams in my life. I might not achieve them all either, but just the fact that we can get there and talk about them and, develop a way to help a person towards their goals. Again, we talk about, the passport funding and the challenges with that, right? Again, to deal with the problems around that, there are some people who are using it effectively and other people who need a lot more support in doing so. I mean, Roger will tell you here, a self-starter like he is, was able to, do lots and improve the, what he's been doing in his world. For others, my goal is to take that funding, and if we get one support worker with that, to help that person turn it into 6, right? To a real network of real people in that person's lives. That's, just not professionals who are involved, but that they have the full, rich, meaningful life that we all have and that we deserve and that they deserve. I'm going to turn over to Roger. Mr. Roger Yaroshinski, take it away.
Thank you, Glen. My name is Roger. I'm a client for these nice people. This is my 3rd presentation, really, in a month. Last year I done a good presentation with British Housing. And I got a little story about myself. I used to stay in an O'Neill program for 6 months before I get some help from British Housing and Studio Homes. Then I got a place. The guys found a place for me. I was on OW for a little while. Then I went to DSO for need some help. I got it, and the intercity health team give me some help. Okay, I'm staying in 1 Bachelor Street now. I like it very much. And I'm in a program with the intercity, with the miners group, and a wellness group, doctor permits, and the cooking classes. And starting a new program named PAC every month. Yeah. I'm volunteering over at the Toronto Living Community Center at 40 Birch. My volunteer job is a DJ once a month and food bank. And making coffee for the clients. And I have 2 support workers, named Glen Snyder, and a street to owns staff. Now I'm on OTSP since October 2016. I'm in a program called Passport Funding, starting with 2017. The passport funding is used for going to places like hockey games, basketball games, baseball games, bus tours, and movies. And I keep the other receipts and get my refund for passport funding. And I get the module passes from the passport funding each month. And the guys take it off from my passport fundings. And I'm going to a group for every 2nd month called The Mix. Boy, wonderful group of people.
Great volunteer, thanks.
Because I love helping people out. Thank you.
I was going to mention too, with the
something was mentioned about the lack of support.
It was mentioned about the lack of support, so I must say DSO has been pretty good as far as letting me do planning with the people in Bridges to Housing.
We're very grateful
for that.
And, you know, part of the Compass Group does plans with implementation too, so we were talking as well, and some of the individuals are actually on the wait list for plans with implementation. So we're hoping to talk to DSO some more about maybe doing more plans with implementation for some of the Bridges to Housing individuals, so that you know, we can kickstart those action plans. So hopefully some of my planning colleagues will get to join the fund, because it really is, it's been a great learning opportunity, I think, for all of us working together.
Yeah, I want to keep it positive too, but that just brings a thought too, eh? Once again, you know, the goals and wonderful ideas that we get from these plans, you know, our biggest challenge is we're so godly urgent, once again, eh?
Yeah.
In the daily crisis that happened with an individual or another individual. So you plan on doing this enriching activity with somebody, but then somebody gets arrested or in the hospital. So you're taking over there, right? So again, just to have the support, as we were talking earlier, you know, be it agency funded to help people who do passport funding to manage that. Because a couple people who do are really using it effectively. You know, Roger self-starter doing it on his own there, right? But a lot of people need that extra help and assistance to do that. And really that's what we want to do, but we just don't got the freaking time to do.
My role, and one of my main tasks is the action. So if you see the light plans over on the corner or on the wall over there, at the end is the action plan. And that's where I'm supposed to come in. But I'm part-time and just one person. These guys, when I go to the light plans, Glen, Kristen, Sobrato is another guy who's not here. He's Rogers, one of the Rogers guys. They're like Glen said, half a day, 3/4 of a day in the emerge room because somebody is sick, or like just they're literally just putting out fires. So there's me and with them when they have time that are supposed to do these action plans. So and the idea is, the goal is to do them within 6 months to a year of when we actually do them. Well, I've done life plans already 7 months ago with people that the action plan hasn't even started on yet, because we're still just getting, like, it's just, we need that extra piece, that implementation piece, because they deserve to have these things actualized. They deserve to have their dreams come at least somewhat, you know, like, happening. And it's hard. It's hard to sit. We do what we can, and we're really trying hard, and Roger's a great testament to somebody that is taking advantage of everything Roger can get his hands on. Believe me, he does it, and he figures out how to do it, and he's not all of the guys that we support are as independent as Roger is, and some need that extra help, and it's important to help them actualize their dreams as well.
Okay, talking about passport funds, I'm not paying no 10% for my workers. I do it my own self, guys, okay? Oh yeah. Thank you for you guys, thank you for your patience. A nice group of people here, man. This is my third speech ready. Oh yeah? Except a couple people never showed up. So what? Maybe you got a day away from the pop-up. Hey, sweetie, thank you very much to come in for my support, okay?
Questions, comments?
Can I just ask, so passport funding, I think Montage, people can still come to you to manage their passport funding. I know that the other thing I've learned with planning, people can also have voluntary trustees, right? Roger, you don't, but some people can. But I guess the paying out and then getting reimbursed still happens. Okay, all right. PGT.
One thing sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to comment on what Kristen said, talking about the the challenges that we were experiencing because of lack of family support. And I'm wondering, that's a huge issue. So I'm wondering, what are the things that we can put in place to make this family support strong, so that the project on housing can be more successful. I had a little challenge sometime, I think about it 2 or 3 years ago. I had a brother who had a brain injury. It was in the US, and he had this issue of, he was declared homeless, but coincidentally somebody was able to get his identification, and they connected me in Canada. And I think the family support was so strong because I had to move all the way to US, and because I was there and I was able to get in, today he's responding better to treatment. Family support is strong. We cannot overlook it. What are we doing? What can we do? What can this population do to help that?
Yeah, I see a big challenge. A lot of the guys that we're supporting, they don't have families, right? Or we think back to their history and the trauma history that they have. It might not be a family that that they choose to connect with for legitimate reasons. My first thought off the bat, if they had a family that had support, those people would be there with them helping, right? And APSW generally deal with people who don't have those natural supports in their life, right? Not because they lost the phone number, it's just because they don't have it, or there's darn good reason that it doesn't exist. I mean, we don't always go right into that with a person. As we're getting to know them, that's their business and how much they want to share, right? We do respect where they're coming from at that time. But you're right, it progresses, and as a relationship progresses, maybe they're more comfortable opening up and sharing, and maybe sometimes there are opportunities for that. But in many cases, it just isn't there.
And at this point, most of them choose not to involve their families. Even we had one client in particular, his parents are in the city, and he visits them on the weekends, but he chooses not to involve them in his life plan. So that's just their choice, and it's something that we can bring to the table several times. We can suggest as time goes on, and it's when they are ready, then we're always willing to make that connection.
The other thing too is that if that's their decision, that the family they don't want to reconnect, like Glen said, trauma, whatever, one of our jobs is to help them redefine what family is. Glen and Sobrato and Christine are often called angels by a lot of our clients. And it's not that we're very clear. We make the line very clear with our clients that we're there to support them, but we're not friends. We're there to help them reconnect or connect once again with a new support system. And that's the fun part, because then it's based on where their interests come from. So we're connecting them with resources and individuals that automatically have right from the get-go, it's a good connection because they're interested in it. And then when that starts snowballing and there's an effect, or the self-worth starts improving, it never replaces a family that they once had, but it certainly is a place to start going forward. And I really love being part of that, because some of the stories that we've heard, as far as like Glen was saying, in their life plan that they've had the opportunity to hear and be part of, I can see why people have wanted just to sort of acknowledge it. It's part of who they are, it's part of their life, it's part of their person, and it's made them who they are today, and it's helped them survive and gain some great skills on the street and do what they have to do. But then there's that, this is the next part, and we get to be part of that, and that's what's so cool.
Sounds easy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's it's a marathon, not a sprint, to be sure. So, but step by step, we look at the progress on the people we've been supporting Bridges Housing have made in the past 2 years. Of the 25, we have 23 people currently housed. Nobody's lost their housing. We were talking about, you saw the one chart there, was it 76% or something like that? people who have been housed and then lose their housing. So far, 100%.
Because they're there every day. We're there.
So with, so with the proper supports, we've been able to have success in people finding and maintaining housing. So with that support, hopefully we can now move into that next step, which again, help build that full, rich, meaningful life that we all deserve.
And I think building on what Kristen was saying, who has to leave talking about family, she's got to get to her own family. But I think it's that definition of family. I'm from a German background, all these friends of my mother's were my tantas, my aunts, and my limited experience with planning with folks in Bridges to Housing. They have their own network of support, their friends, etc. The one gentleman is such a good cook, he's got his own place, he's now cooking and giving meals to his friends kind of thing. So that's the beauty about planning, you get to find out, because that's the other part of planning, who's important to you in your life. You might have family, but they might not be that important at this point in life, but other people are kind of thing, and how do you stay connected? And I've been really impressed too, because one gentleman had someone come and stay with him for a while, and then he set the limit. No, I don't like what you're doing. You're going to have to leave. This is my place. So it's quite fascinating for me, all the learning that's going on. But people are in control of their own show, and I think these guys are just helping make life even better. Quality, because that's the bottom line of person-directed planning, improve quality of life. So that's what we're trying to do, finding out really where people are at, where they've come from, where they're at, what they want, and then how can we help them do that, and as you've heard, bring more people in to help along the way. If there's any more questions? One more thing, Roger and Dean. Some more questions?
Nope.
No questions.
Okay.
We're good?
I think so.
All right, thank you guys.
Good.
This is amazing.